Hello. So I wrote a graphic novel called The Convergence. It's about a dying Earth and a hero and heroine that save the planet by lifting the collective consciousness of humanity and healing Earth's energy grid. Through their journey, they bring more light to what had become a very dark place. But as my words were being translated into illustrations, there were other images that came into my awareness. Images that perhaps we've all seen. Rainforests being destroyed for palm oil. Elephants killed for ivory. Plastics polluting our water. And sacred lands being disrupted for commercial use. And what began as a simple goal to create a story awakened something inside of me that longed to create impact, especially as I saw more darkness consume the planet. And it really made me want to do something about that, just like the heroes and heroines in my graphic novel. And I wondered if there wasn't an innate hero and heroine inside all of us that longed to create impact. And if this were true, then what would this modern-day hero have to do in order to create real and meaningful change? Especially in a world where the social, political, and the environmental problems are so massive that its solutions just seem beyond the scope of any one normal person. Well, to jump to the punchline, it is my belief that the hero and heroines that the world need today aren't only the ones that are doing the big, massive acts like organizing a march or heading a nonprofit. And I'm sure there's some in the room with us today that are doing these things, and you guys are awesome, so thank you. But what the world also needs are the everyday heroes that could do the small but purposeful acts that, when aligned with other heroes, amass to collective change. But before I go on, I'd like to share a little bit more about who I am. Because on one aspect, I am this writer, and I live in the world of imagination and creativity. And I understand the things like gut feeling and intuition and things that I probably can't prove. But then there's this other side of me that works in the field of finance and economics. And I work as a bond trader for a financial firm in New York, where I also co-chair a network that educates employees on the environment, sustainability, and impact investing. And it's within this financial landscape that I see how social, political, and environmental events take on a financial expression by bringing the markets or individual companies' stocks or bonds up or down. But what's kind of crazy about this current economic system that we live in is that it only captures the value of a portion of anything. And it's usually that thing that can be quantified or has some sort of monetary gain. What it doesn't capture are the things that are hard to measure, or to be brutally honest, the things that don't necessarily have an economic or monetary benefit. And some would even say are worthless or even non-existent. Which is why in sacred land disputes, companies have the advantage, because we know we can price oil once it's extracted from the ground. But what we can't measure is just how much life is within that land or community, the value and richness of the ecosystem, or just truly how sacred this land really is, because it is quite possible that it's truly priceless. And what emerged for me was this duality. One world ruled by facts and figures, and this other world that conversed in the world of possibility. And the question became then, what could the modern-day superhero do to bring more colors and conversation to what has become a black and white operating system? Well, it is my belief that the heroes and heroines of today need to bring these light, non-measurable, and some would even say airy-fairy things like life, nature, sacredness, love, compassion, and even magic a financial expression, a financial form. Because when we take things that aren't currently being measured and therefore completely out of our economic vernacular and give it a financial impact, a density, a weight, all of a sudden we're beginning to speak in the language that our dominant institutions understand, which is the financial language. And you've seen that across many industries. Rap music began as an expression, all of a sudden exploded into commercial success because people wanted to go and support that music. Meat companies and restaurants offering vegan alternatives because people were awakening to the suffering of animals and moving away from this crazy notion that an animal is worth more to us dead than it is alive. Even the growth of female protagonists in films and women-driven content came from this desire for women to have a voice and supported other men and women that were creating vehicles for that. Do you know why the Me Too movement is so powerful? It's because companies and institutions understand that reputation risk equals financial risk. And that's the same reason why athletes lose big endorsements after a scandal or a change in public opinion. Because these small acts, like boycotting anything with palm oil or ivory, or not using plastics or even recycling if we do, to supporting sustainable fashion, like my eco-friendly shirt and my vegan shoes, or looking at the companies that we're actually buying from on a day-to-day basis and seeing which ones actually give back to the community versus the ones that just take our money. Or when we're investing, really seeing if our values align with the companies that we're investing in, and seeing what those companies' policies are for corporate governance, diversity, and sustainability. Because these small but defiant, and I stress defiant acts, not only change the conversation, but the institutions themselves, because wherever money and attention goes, structure forms. There's what, a couple hundred of us here right now? Can you imagine the impact that we would make if we each gave $20 to an organization that brought clean water to a community that really needed it? Or helped animals that were in dire need? Or supported a nonprofit that protected our land and rainforests? And if it wasn't our money, maybe it's our time, like volunteering, or just our attention by sharing a social media feed or having that conversation with someone. Because even though these things seem small and insignificant, what we're collectively doing is giving love and compassion a physical manifestation, an impact. And this doesn't only change the economy that's out there, but the one in here as well. You know, it took me about 7 years to complete my graphic novel, now screenplay. And there were many times where I wanted to quit because it was just too taxing, and I subscribed too much to this idea that it needed to be a financial success way too early in the process. But in those 7 years of the multiple drafts, the long nights, and with dealing with things and people I didn't understand, it taught me to be a better writer, to stick through something that I believed in, and to believe in the power of my voice that tells me that all creatures, including Earth herself, has a soul. And in those moments where I'm alone in my world just writing, away from this outside world that likes to tell us what success looks and feels like, I remember who I am. And I remember the truth that I, like everyone in this room, are truly enough. And not just enough, but priceless. And so to put it all together, who are the modern day heroes and heroines? It's you, it's me, it's all of us that know that when we bring our time, energy, and money and attention to someone or something, we start to change the dominant story here on Earth that says the world is chaotic, that people can't be trusted, and that even love is a scarce commodity. Because it's these moment to moments, words by words, connection by connection, are how things will change. And then all of a sudden, we can have a world where environmentalism, equality, empowerment, and enlightenment affect the bigger E, the economy, both the external and the internal. One last thing I'd like to share with you. There are times when I write where I'm taken into this world that's very creative and full of colors and imagination. And the same thing happens to me sometimes when I meditate. And in one of my meditations, I was taken inside a giant oak tree where I was told that trees are the world's oldest libraries. Because as the wind blows through the branches and leaves, these trees pick up all our thoughts, emotions, feelings, and actions and stores them into the earth. And although I can't prove that this is true, there's something deep inside me that tells me that it is. And it tells me that even though there are things beyond our human scope of understanding or measuring, are still very much real and deserve our love, respect, and more so than ever, our protection. Interestingly, that a tree, the seed of a tree, which is only about this big, when planted, roots itself firmly into the ground and takes a heroic journey towards the heavens, even though a world tells us that everything has to rule by the rules of gravity. And so, to all my heroes and heroines in the room, the meek ones, the ones that are engaged in the big fight, to the ones that are still finding their voice, the world needs you. We need you. And when we all tap into that superhero inside each of us, not only can we change the collective consciousness of humanity, but we could redefine what it means to be human and just perhaps give Earth a real chance to heal. Thank you so much.